It was a bitterly cold night in the remote wilderness of Alaska. The wind howled through the towering pine trees and snow blanketed everything in sight. Jason Carter, a retired wildlife photographer, had moved to this secluded cabin a year ago, seeking peace away from the chaos of city life. But that night, he was about to experience something that would change his life forever. Jason sat near his fireplace, sipping a cup of hot coffee, when he heard an unusual noise outside, a soft but desperate whimpering. He grabbed his flashlight and peered through the frosted window. What he saw sent shivers down his spine. A pack of wolves standing outside his door, their eyes glowing in the dark. But instead of aggression, their eyes held something else, a plea. Jason hesitated. Wolves were wild animals, unpredictable and dangerous. Yet, as he observed them, he noticed something unusual. One of them, a large white wolf, was limping, struggling to stay on its feet. The others nudged it gently, as if urging him to do something. But that wasn't all. Beside the wolves, nestled in a small patch of snow, was a shivering cat with a litter of kittens huddled close to her body. Against his better judgment, he cautiously opened the door, keeping his rifle within reach. To his astonishment, the wolves didn't attack. Instead, they stepped aside, making way for the injured white wolf and a trembling cat with her kittens. Jason had never seen wolves behave like this. They were asking for help. Jason carefully dragged the injured wolf inside, ignoring the warnings blaring in his mind. The rest of the pack remained outside, watching intently. He then gently picked up the cat and her kittens, wrapping them in a warm blanket. The cat let out a weak meow, exhausted but relieved. He examined the wolf's wound, a deep gash on its hind leg, possibly from a hunter's trap. The animal whimpered softly, but didn't resist, as Jason cleaned the wound and bandaged it. There was an unspoken trust between them, an unexplainable connection. Meanwhile, the kittens nuzzled into the warmth of the blanket, their tiny bodies finally able to rest. As the night deepened, Jason sat beside the resting wolf and the cat, his thoughts racing. Why had the pack come to him? How did they know he wouldn't harm them? He glanced outside and saw the other wolves still waiting in the snow, refusing to leave. They weren't just any wolves. They were guarding something or someone. Suddenly, Jason heard another sound, a faint cry, barely audible through the howling wind. He grabbed his coat and stepped outside, following the sound deep into the woods. The pack followed closely behind. After a few minutes, Jason stumbled upon a horrifying sight, a small, half-buried backpack and a pair of tiny footprints disappearing into the snow-covered forest. Jason's heart pounded. Someone, perhaps a child, was lost in this brutal storm. He turned to the wolves, and to his shock, they seemed to understand. The alpha wolf, a massive black beast, let out a low growl and started leading the way. Jason followed, trusting the pack's instincts. For what felt like hours, they navigated the treacherous terrain. The wind roared, and the temperature dropped further. Then Jason spotted it, a small figure huddled under a fallen tree, barely conscious. A little girl, no older than 6, shivering violently. Jason rushed to her side and wrapped her in his coat. Her lips were blue, her breath shallow. If he hadn't found her in time, she wouldn't have survived the night. The wolves circled protectively as Jason carried her back to his cabin. He laid her near the fire, rubbing her hands to restore warmth. Slowly, she opened her eyes, whispering something that sent chills down his spine. The wolves and the cat. They saved me. As Jason nursed both the girl, the injured wolf, and the cat with her kittens back to health, he pieced the puzzle together. The girl, Emily, had wandered away from her family's campsite and gotten lost. The wolves had found her first, keeping her warm with their bodies and leading her towards safety. The cat and her kittens had also been left vulnerable in the harsh winter, and the wolves had protected them as well. When their leader was injured, they had come to Jason, the only human they somehow trusted. The realization shook him. These weren't just wild animals. They were intelligent, compassionate, and capable of trust. Jason had spent years photographing wildlife, but had never witnessed such a profound connection between humans and nature. Days passed, and Emily's parents, who had been searching frantically, were finally reunited with her. They were overwhelmed with gratitude, but it was Jason who felt the most changed. He watched as the wolves, now healed, prepared to leave. The white wolf, once weak and injured, stood strong again, staring at Jason one last time before vanishing into the forest with its pack. The cat and her kittens, however, had found a new home with Jason. Jason knew he would never see the wolves again, but their story, the miracle of that frozen night, would stay with him forever. He had always believed nature was unpredictable, but now he understood something deeper. Sometimes nature extends its hand, waiting for us to trust it in return. And so, in that remote Alaskan wilderness, a man, a pack of wolves, a lost child, and a helpless cat with her kittens became part of an extraordinary tale of survival, trust, and the mysterious ways in which nature works. The next time someone tells you that wolves are just ruthless predators, remember this story, because sometimes even the wildest creatures have a heart.